My name is Jack Higgins. I've never believed in ghosts until I came toe to toe with one, so I set out on a journey to record what I once witnessed on video, along with my good friend Rick Koff and a guy we met at Taco Bell, Darren Baldwin. Together, we would travel to the most creepiest, craziest, and spookiest places in the state in an attempt to capture evidence of the paranormal. These are our ghost ventures. Yeah, I know it sounds like that other ghost hunting show on the cable network, but that's just strictly coincidental. It's a good show. At least it used to be. Anyway, hi, my name is Jack. I was the lead investigator for the Ghost Ventures crew, and if you noticed, I said was. We don't ghost hunt anymore. Hell, we don't even talk anymore, and I'll tell you why. Let me sum it all up in one word, and that word is Barnabys. Yeah, that place is off the charts. Now, I've never been to Pinehurst or Poveglia Island, but I've seen those episodes, and Barnaby has got to rank up there with those two. I mean, anyone that would step foot in that place willingly needs to have their head examined twice. We've done investigations at abandoned schools, rundown churches, a couple cemeteries, and even falling down dilapidated buildings. We've caught EVPs, felt phantom cool spots, and even had some personal experiences, but nothing like we experienced at Barnabys. Now, as part of the agreement that we made with Mr. Barnaby when we investigate that place was that if any weird or strange things happened, we would write them down in story form and give it to him in exchange for letting us investigate the store for free. That place messed with my head so much that it took me 3 years and lots of therapy just to be able to even write this. But I will remember that night vividly until the day I die. So here goes. I'll mail it to him later. Anyway, I just found out about the place through a conversation with my neighbor. Apparently, my neighbor's daughter's ex-boyfriend's sister got a dog from a guy that worked at the ASPCA and Barnaby's as well, but that's a different story. Anyway, they became friends and he told her about the crazy stuff that happens at Barnaby's. She told her brother, he told my neighbor's daughter told her father, and her father told me. Did you follow all that? Good. Anyway, I did some research and found out that yes, there was a very old grocery store called Barnabys just a few towns over. Newspaper articles revealed that all kinds of horrible events and freak accidents happened at that store, and that store was built on Indian burial grounds. That's what got me interested in investigating that place. Sure, we've investigated cemeteries before, but Indian burial grounds, that's on a whole different level. I looked the place up on Google Maps, got a phone number, and the directions to the store. I called the phone number and talked to a very nice man named Pat, who graciously agreed to let us come and investigate his store on Saturday night at 9. Pat agreed to meet us Saturday afternoon to do some interviews and to get some pictures to use in the show. I called Rick and Darren and told them that I found an old grocery store to investigate. I didn't mention the Indian burial ground thing. They were excited and looking forward to going. Anyway, Saturday came. Darren borrowed his aunt's minivan, as he always did since none of us had a car. He picked up Rick and we all met back at my house before heading to the store. Now, we were in no way a professional ghost hunting team. We didn't have any real equipment like the big name teams do. We used our old iPhone 5s as cameras, using a night vision app, and used it to also capture EVPs. That's it. For those of you that don't know what an EVP is, it stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon. It's believed to be voices of spirits speaking to the living, unintentionally meaning a random word or phrase spoken for no apparent reason, or intentionally, such as someone asking a question and the spirit responds with an answer. Anyway, we all hopped in the van and made the hour drive to Barnabys. Just as we were pulling into the parking lot, out of the corner of my eye, I saw three little Native American boys, about 8 or 9 years old, standing on the sidewalk outside the store. I turned around and told Rick to get a shot of that. He replied, "A shot of what?" I turned back around and they were gone. "No freaking way! They were right there," I said, pointing to the sidewalk. "Who?" Darren asked. I just shook my head. "Never mind. Forget about it," I mumbled. We parked the van and got out. If I knew then what I know now, I would have got back in that van and never stepped foot in that store. Anyway, I walked over to the spot where I saw the kids and found three small eagle feathers on the ground. I was totally freaked out at this point. I just left them there. Rick and Darren went to knock on the door. Soon after, an older gentleman emerged from inside the store and introduced himself as Pat. We all shook hands and introduced ourselves. I told Pat about the three kids, and I saw that he started tapping his toe and clapping his hands and said, "One little, two little, three little Indians." You know that old children's nursery rhyme? Then he chuckled to himself. "Okay then," I thought to myself, "this guy's a few sandwiches short of a picnic." Anyway, we conducted our interview, and he told us about all the crazy things that happened there and gave us some history of the place. He also told us that the store was being remodeled and to be careful of hanging wires, loose floorboards, and things like that. Also that electricity had been shut off since it was the weekend and that the construction crews would not be back till Monday. He offered to let us go inside and look around to get familiar with the place, but we wanted to wait until our investigation, the element of surprise and all. We ended the interview about 5 p.m., and he handed me a key to the store, just in case. We still had a couple of hours before it was time for us to investigate. We decided to go see a movie. We passed a movie theater on the way to the store, and we decided to head there. The new Stephen King movie was out. I am a huge Stephen King fan. I have all his movies, most of his books, and a lot of his short stories on audiobook. Anyway, we met a very nice and very attractive lady named Catherine at the movie theater. We told her that we were investigating Barnabys that night and asked if she knew anything about the place. She told us that she was the previous owner of the property, but that's a different story, and that now she was the assistant manager. Well, as soon as it opens back up again. We offered to have her come and investigate with us, but she declined, saying she didn't want to spend any more time in that place than she had to. Now I understand why. When the movie was over, it was a great movie, by the way. I'll have to add it to my DVD collection when it comes out. Anyway, we headed back to the store for our investigation. We arrived back at the store just as a thunderstorm was fast approaching. Pat was nowhere to be found. I thought that was odd. We found a note on the door saying that he had to tend to an issue at a property he just sold. The note also said that it was okay to start investigating. I pulled the key out of my pocket and took down the note, unlocked the door, turned the night vision apps on, and went inside to enter the building. Just as I opened the door, a loud lightning crash hit, lighting up the sky and scaring the hell out of all of us. Heavy rain started falling soon after. We practically pushed each other into the store. Once inside, that place was creepy as hell. The air was thick and heavy, almost suffocating. The floor creaked every time you stepped on it. Half the walls were put up. The other half was just wooden beams, wires hanging from the ceiling, and construction equipment lying everywhere. We walked around together for about an hour, just filming and getting a feel for the place. Nothing really happened. We found out that there were three main parts to the building: the sales floor, the back room, and a little room off the back room. The bathrooms were boarded up. We couldn't even get in there. So we decided that since there were three areas and there were three of us, that we would each investigate an area by ourselves. We did paper, rock, scissors to figure out who went where. Darren got the little room, Rick got the back room, and I got the sales floor. Okay, guys, I said, let's do this. We fist bumped each other and went to our designated areas. I began walking around the sales floor, filming and asking questions. I could hear Rick in the back room doing the same. This went on for about half an hour when suddenly another lightning strike, just as we heard Darren screaming at the top of his lungs, then the loud thumping of his work boots as he ran through the back room and out to the sales floor. "Oh no, 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 no," he said loudly. Darren, stop," I yelled. "What happened?" Rick came running out shortly after. "What the hell, man?" Rick said. "You almost ran me over." Darren turned to look at Rick. You could tell he was scared. "What happened?" I said again. I was in there asking questions and panning the camera around the room when I saw an old Indian guy standing in the corner. I focused the camera on him and asked, "Who are you?" He raised a tomahawk and charged at me. I thought he was going to kill me. I dropped my phone and got the hell out of there. "Wait a minute," I said. "What's that smell?" "That scared the shit out of me," Darren said. "Literally." "Dude, you shit yourself?" Rick said. "Shut up," Darren replied. "Screw this. I'm out of here. I'll be in the band." He then stormed out the front door. I looked at Rick. He looked at me. Just then, another loud lightning crash. "I'll go get the phone," Rick said as he ran off toward the back room. He returned shortly after and handed me the phone. It was still recording. Luckily, it wasn't broken. I stopped the recording and we reviewed the video, and sure enough, there was an old Indian in the corner who charged at the camera. The phone then fell to the floor, face down, with the camera shooting upward. The same Indian was seen leaning over the lens, staring into the camera, then just disappeared. We caught an EVP, but we couldn't understand what he was saying. "What's up with the Indian?" Rick asked. "Yeah, maybe I should have mentioned this earlier," I said, "but this place is built on Indian burial grounds." "What?" he asked. "Are you crazy? Cemeteries are one thing, but I ain't messing with no Indian spirits. Here's my phone. I'm out," he said. "Fine," I yelled. "I'll do it myself." The slamming of a door was soon heard after. I put both phones in my pocket and began to walk around asking questions. I did this for about 15 minutes when another lightning strike hit and all the security lights came on, blinding me through the night vision. "There's no electric in this place," I thought. "What the hell is going on?" The lights began to flash like a strobe light on crack. The entire building began to shake, causing me to fall back against a large piece of machinery. A low humming could be heard that soon turned into what sounded like drumming. I began to hear Indian war cries in my head. Not my ears, but my head. I grabbed my head and screamed, "I'm not afraid of you." Suddenly, through the walls and the floor came transparent images of about 25 Native Americans on horses, screaming and swinging tomahawks at me. Okay, now I'm afraid, I thought. They're trying to kill me. I could feel the breeze from the tomahawk swings as they barely missed my head. I screamed like a scared little schoolgirl and started running toward the door. I slipped on one of the loose floorboards and fell, face first to the ground, knocking myself unconscious. I woke up about 3 hours later on the sidewalk somehow, drenched from all the rain. It was 3:17 in the morning, the witching hour. The clock at the bank across the street told me that. I slowly got to my feet, looked over to my right, and saw the same three little Indian boys standing there just like before. They were completely dry, even in the pouring rain. I screamed again and ran to the side of the building to get in the van, but it was gone. They left me there, and I never saw those guys again. In retrospect, I don't blame them. Anyway, another lightning strike scared me half to death, so much that I began to run screaming down the middle of the road. Thankfully, there were no cars out that late. I finally stopped running and screaming and called my neighbor. He was kind of upset, but he agreed to come get me. I waited across the street at the bank until he showed up. That was a fun ride home. Anyway, I mailed the key back to Pat. Now, after that night, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. All I kept thinking about was those Indians attacking me. I saw them everywhere that I went out of the corner of my eye. At work, at the gym, even in my house. I called the therapist about a week later, and I've been seeing her 3 times a week for the past 3 years. I didn't even look at any of the footage. I just threw all the phones away and never ghost hunted again. I just couldn't do it after that. I heard that Darren got a job as a camera operator for the UFC and is making a pretty good living at it. I heard that Rick took up plumbing, continued to ghost hunt, put another team together, and got a sweet television deal on a cable network. Good for him. And me, well, I just moved into my new apartment. My name is Nick, but that's a different story. Well, hey there. I sure hope you enjoyed this story. And if you did, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and leave a little comment down below. You'd be doing me a great favor, and I certainly would appreciate it. All that being said, you have a wonderful day.